Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Monday. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Monday. Fuck. Fuck. I am so fucking sorry about that. Yeah, hello everyone. It's Monday. Hope you're all doing well. I am not. Oh yeah, I should probably actually. There we go. Hi, face cam time. Oh, maybe a bit. There we go. I know I'm white. So any kind of lighting is like, it's like looking into a sun. Maybe I should actually turn my actual light on. The one up there. So it's a bit better. Yeah. I was wearing a dress the entire day. I plan to also wear it on stream. But then like 5 minutes before I started streaming, Dysphoria decided to be a bitch. So. We got that drip instead. That Thomas Sanders strip. Sandersides. The Remus T. We're reading today. It's going to be a chill stream. Yeah, and it's going to be able to, I hopefully am going to be able to take my mind off the fact that my racist and possibly transphobic grandma is visiting us the 18th on my younger sister's birthday. We're getting visited by a woman who refuses to use my name. And who's going to be dead naming me the entire time she's here. So either I'm going to be one, stocking up on food to hide in my room all day, and possibly be on a call with Bones, or I'm going to be two, kidnapped by a friend who volunteered. So I really want to lovingly, not so lovingly, defenestrate my grandma. She's also the reason I am very, very, very uncomfortable with being called feminine things. Because she used them too much. Every single time we've seen her, she's used overly feminine names for me. Pet names, call names, whatever, and I'm very uncomfortable with them. And there are so many of those in Danish, you have no idea. I don't think they're even a fraction. I don't know how to talk, I'm sorry. I don't think there's like, for every word in English, there's like 10 in Danish of really feminine words, pet names. So, also, yeah, I did mention that I think I mentioned in a previous stream that my hair's been braided, and it's been a while since I've had it braided. Like, it was long the last time I had it braided, so it felt nice having it braided again. I love having curls. Well, waves. Whatever. It's warm in here. Why is it so warm? Remember that sweet, sweet life juice. There's ice cubes in it. They're teeny tiny right now. My computer is right there. I placed it differently, so hopefully I won't accidentally move the cable, which disconnects everything. So yeah. Reading time. Let's go on here. Boom. Boom. Reading time. And again, you just say if the music is too loud, or if it's not loud enough, or if I'm too loud or not loud enough. Okay? We are reading 4 chapters today. Chapter 4. Oh no, Turtle breathed. Me? Anemone echoed, sounding as young as she was and heartbreakingly delighted. She flicked her claws to make wow. I can't talk. She flicked her claws to make the lightning flash again, now illuminating her face. You were looking for me? And you made it more easy for him to find you, Turtle thought. Not to mention announcing your power to everyone else who didn't know the Sea Wings had an animus. Now every tribe in Pyria would know about Anemone's magic. Apart from all the dragons outside, he could see faces watching from nearly every window in the school. Students roused from their beds, either by the commotion outside or by the panicked Ice Wings. Oh, Anemone, why would anyone ever draw so much attention to themselves? Tsunami snapped her tail, hissing. What is she doing? She cried. Before Turtle could answer, not that he had any sort of answer, unless maybe losing her mind counted, Tsunami was out the window and flying up toward Anemone. One moment, big sister, Anemone said, holding out her talons. The wind spiraled up and around, spinning Tsunami away from her. Below them, Clay and Sunny both started forward with a gasp, but Tsunami caught herself on the second spin and hovered where she was. Why were you looking for me? Anemone asked Darkstalker. Because I sensed a kindred spirit, he said, gesturing at the storm rising around her. I've been listening to your mind since you arrived at Jade Academy, and I saw instantly how special you are. A dragon as smart and practical as I am, and of course a fellow animus. Did you know about me before I hurt myself? Turtle wondered. Only Winter Peril, Quibbly, and Moon knew about his animus power, but neither Peril nor Moon wore Skyfire to protect their thoughts. Darkstalker could have lifted that information from either of their minds, or he could have seen it in a vision of the future, if there was a crazy future where Turtle used magic in front of him. That's me, Anemone said, lifting her front claws into the air. Lightning sizzled down from the clouds and gathered in her webbed talons like deadly trapped moons. The light gave her face an eerie glow, shining over her scales like an aquatic birthmark, making sure everyone could see how different she was. Finally, someone who understands me. Anemone, Tsunami said, her voice cracking. Oh, I know you love me, Anemone said to her. Plenty of dragons love me, but understanding me? See, that takes another animus. I'm not sure it does, Turtle said. He'd never felt further from understanding her than he did right this moment. I did this all wrong, like I always do. I should have told her the truth about me, or I should have lied about Darkstalker. I should have come up with something that could have stopped this from happening. I'm very impressed, Anemone, Darkstalker said, spreading his wings at the churning stone-colored sky. You know, I've never tried controlling the weather. What a clever idea. What did you enchant? Dark clouds now blotted out the sunrise, bloated with rain that was forbidden to fall. Small flickers of lightning curled in the depths of the clouds like the breath of newly hatched skywings. The air smelled like the sea was hiding overhead, ready to drown everyone. These, Anemone said, displaying 2 beaten copper armbands on her wrists, the metal rippling like waves of fire. I wanted to see what I could do, she said proudly. But Anemone, Tsunami choked out, your soul. I feel fine, Tsunami, Anemone said, flicking her tail. I mean, are we supposed to use our power? We are supposed to use our power sometimes, right? She asked Darkstalker. Like, when it's really important? And couldn't these be totally useful? She reached up again and opened a small hole in the clouds for the sun to pour through. Absolutely, Darkstalker agreed. They're brilliant. Don't worry, Tsunami. Anemone is many spells away from massacring anyone. And now I'm here to help her with that soul problem. Come on down, princess, and let's talk. Anemone soared down with him with no hesitation. Turtle watched her go with the same sinking feeling that had hit him the day he heard his father had been captured by Queen Scarlet's troops. There's nothing I can do. He could feel peril watching him, but he couldn't meet her eyes. Don't wait for me to fix this. I can't. I don't know where to start, and I don't have any good ideas, and whatever I tried, I do it wrong anyway. As Anemone and Darkstalker stepped into the main entrance hall, Anemone looked back at her sister and the other dragons still outside. She smiled, and the rain began to fall. Heavy droplets pelted Turtle's wings as he flew to where his friends were gathered in the sky. I'm sorry, he said as soon as he was close enough to speak. I did try to warn the school, but I guess it didn't make any difference. Warn the school about what? Winter asked. The giant 2,000-year-old super dragon that just climbed out of a mountain? Turtle answered. Oh, he's not here to hurt anyone, said Winter. I know, I was worried at first too, but Darkstalker's not a monster. He just wants to make friends and start over. See, I feel like that's true, said Quibbly. But then Winter of all dragons says something like that and I get nervous. Call off the exploding guts plant, Turtle. Wait, what? Sorry. Call off the exploding guts plant, Turtle, Peril called cheerfully, swooping around them with her wings, carving paths of steam through the pelting rain. He's not evil after all! Wait, really? Turtle tried to blink away the rain that kept pooling on his snout. Are we sure? What happened to change your mind so fast? Well, he's been super nice to me, said Peril, which kind of never happened, so he's obviously more awesome than the average dragon. And he pointed out that Animus powers and fire skills are the same because other dragons are always scared of us. But they shouldn't be. Totally true, right? I mean, I wouldn't want my insides exploded by magic just because someone thinks I'm scary. You are scary, Quibbly said to her. But I'm also in favor of you staying in one piece. Why, thank you, she said, pleased. So it makes sense, right, Turtle? If we deserve a chance to prove ourselves good, then why doesn't Darkstalker? That's right, said Quibbly. That's a good point. But didn't he already have that chance? Turtle asked. And didn't it end with killing his own father? Oh, that's a good point too. Quibbly scrunched his eyes shut as though his head hurt. My brain feels like it's trying to swim through honey. That father business is ancient history, said Winter. We don't know exactly what happened. I'm sure he has a good explanation. Me too, said Peril. So we're not worried anymore? Said Turtle. Welcome back, Darkstalker. Carry on. Do all the magic you'd like. We just need to spend a little more time with him and you'll see. You just need to spend a little more time with him and then you'll see, Winter said. Are we done with this boring conversation? I'd like to go get dry, if you please. He shook off his wings and dove toward the caves without waiting for an answer. Wow, I can't talk today. I can't read, apparently. Never tell him I said this, said Peril. But I agree with the Chili Prince. Off with your hiding spell, Turtle, and onward with your face. She gestured toward Turtle's pouch, and he shied away from her, covering it with his talons. Or you can keep sulking around, she said with a shrug. Whatever you want. I'm going to go say hi to Clay. To him and his friends. So I can tell him what I did to Scarlet. Tell all of them. What Ruby did, technically. But with my help, he's going to be so excited. Don't you think? So excited? Not that there's any big deal. Well, I guess it's kind of a big deal that I stopped his, super worst enemy from coming after him. He'll be happy about that, right? Not that it matters. Why am I so nervous? I'm not. Stop being nervous, Peril. That will work. 3 minutes. Just go talk to him, you unexpected flutterhead, Quibbly said with a laugh. I will! I'm going! Peril said. Don't wish me luck because I don't even need it because why would I? Because who cares? She shook herself from horns to tail, wiped raindrops off her snout, and spiraled down to the school. Wow, Quibbly said. Am I like that around Moon? Are you? Turtle asked, only half listening. Peril did seem like the kind of dragon who would change her mind about someone at a moment's notice. So maybe this was normal, and maybe Darkstalker was as great as they all thought, and Turtle was wrong to be so anxious. But something didn't feel right. Just kidding, Quibbly said quickly. Forget I said that. Turtle, I think... actually, don't unhide yourself yet. Really? Turtle twisted toward him in the air. Raindrops kept splashing in his eyes and making it hard to see. It felt as if the clouds were gathering lower and lower, as though they might all pile up on top of his wings at any moment. My instincts tell me I can trust Darkstalker, Quibbly said, tilting his claws to watch the raindrops slide in different directions. But my head says to be more careful, so maybe it's smart to have one dragon who can watch him without being seen for a little while. Can you do that? Watch him and then tell me what you see? I guess. Turtle tucked the webs between his talons nervously. But, like what? What if I missed something? What am I looking for? I don't know, Quibbly admitted. But whatever you see, come talk to me about it, alright? Alright. We'll figure it out together. Alright, Turtle said uncomfortably. He stayed in the air for a moment as Quibbly flew away. At least I'm not the only one who's worried. But he couldn't shake the dread that crept along his wings. It was a lot of pressure, being the one who had to keep an eye on Darkstalker. being the only one who could, really. He didn't like the feeling that Quigley was relying on him. I don't want to be the spy. In all the stories, spies are competent and quick thinking and clever. And I'm none of those things. Or else they're incompetent and then they get caught and their part of the story ends in a dungeon or a quick death. Not exactly the character arc I was hoping for. I'm not the right dragon for this. He followed his friends slowly, listening to the thunder roll overhead, and wondering where the lightning would strike. End of chapter 4. Okay, I need to get this down a bit. Alright. I think that's better. Yeah. Hydration! Alright. Chapter 5. Inside the main entrance cave, Turtle crept around the small groups of gathered dragons until he was huddled behind the bronze gong. Nobody noticed him. He'd perfected the art of moving slowly, of being boring, unforgettable, and ordinary. Sorry, just... Sorry about that. And it certainly helped that everyone had a much bigger, flashier dragon in their minds at the moment. It's such a vague threat, Darkstalker was saying to Anemone as Turtle curled into his hiding spot. I mean, what is a soul? How do you really know if someone's losing this or it's going bad or whatever the big danger is supposed to be? Right? Anemone said, as though she were pouncing on a scuttling crab. I mean, there haven't been that many animus dragons in history, have there? What if Albatross was already bad and it had nothing to do with his magic at all? Turtle shivered. He'd had these thoughts himself many times, but it was unsettling to hear them spoken aloud. He wanted to believe that his soul would be fine no matter what he did. He would still be the one making all the choices, good or bad, wouldn't he? And he was a good dragon. A perfectly nice, harmless dragon with no reason to hurt anyone. A plume of blood flickered through his memory. Was it only 2 days ago? Or 3? He remembered the clammy feeling of mud between his talons as they confronted that dragon, Peril's father, Soar, or Chameleon, or Shapeshifter, the one with many names. He'd been holding Darkstalker's scroll, and Turtle had used Animus magic to take it from him. The truth was, he hadn't just taken the soul, the scroll. He'd attacked Chameleon with it, bashing him in the face and probably breaking his nose. It was the only violent spell he'd ever cast. Once more, he noticed his talons were clenched against his will, and he had to force them straight. Deep breaths. I'm in control of my own self. I am not a bad dragon. He'd never done anything like that before in his life. He certainly wouldn't be able to do it with his own claws. But with magic it was different. It didn't feel like he was really hurting someone else. Except for now, in his memories, where the screaming dragon kept appearing over and over again. But he hurt King Kaju, Turtle reminded himself. He put her in a coma. He also tricked Peril and put a spell on her to make her work for Scarlet again. He deserved it. He brushed his front talons together as though he were wiping off wet sand. Was this what it felt like to lose part of his soul? Was this the first step toward darkness? He still felt like himself, but maybe a slightly more powerful version of himself. Was that bad? I know what you did. Darkstalker rumbled softly, and for a moment Turtle's heart stopped. I know what you worry about. You do? Anemone whispered. Turtle peeked out and saw that the cave was almost empty now. Only Darkstalker, Anemone, Tsunami, and Moon remained. She was protecting us, Tsunami said quickly. She was saving us. Turtle felt a flash of panic. What did Anemone do? Something terrible? When? How did he miss it? There we go. I agree, said Darkstalker. You shouldn't feel guilty, Princess. I don't, Anemone said, lifting her chin. He deserved it. Turtle heard the echo of his own thoughts and winced. Who was she talking about? But did it change you? Tsunami asked. Do you feel soulless? Anemone laughed a little too brightly. No way! I think I have a pretty normal soul for a dragon. But you won't ever have to worry again if we protect that soul like we protected mine. Darkstalker flicked his tail, with a different spell this time though. We're going to need something to enchant. None of my talismans survived the 2,000 years on the ground with me. I can find us something, Anemone said, jumping to her feet. I have some great treasures. Mother always gave me the best jewels. It doesn't have to be fancy, Darkstalker said. It just has to be sturdy, so our souls will be safe forever. He smiled at Moon. I know that would make certain dragons here a lot happier. I don't know, said Moon, studying him with a very wary expression. Your soul was protected before, and you still killed your father. Oh, by all the moons, Darkstalker said crossly. He reared up, filling the cabin with his giant wings. Listen, Arctic was about to betray the whole tribe. He was trying to sell my sister to the Ice Wings in exchange for his own safety. He would have made her marry an Ice Wing and live in their kingdom forever, and he was mind controlling her. If I hadn't stopped him, Sunny wouldn't exist. And maybe the Night Wings wouldn't either, because Arctic was going to help the Ice Wings wipe us out. He was a traitor who had to die. Darkstalker pointed at Moon. I was protecting you and all the tribe's future descendants. I'm shocked that everyone has forgotten about that completely. Well, said Moon, watching a dragon disembowel himself probably has kind of a traumatizing effect on one's memory. Wait, what? Said Tsunami. What now? Did you really do that? Anemone said, looking up at Darkstalker. But Turtle didn't like her expression. There wasn't nearly enough disgust or horror there. He didn't like it at all. Did I say disembowel? Darkstalker waved one talon. I was exaggerating. It was a simple honor suicide. Even he knew he deserved it. Moon crossed her front talons, arching her brows at him skeptically. Wow, said Darkstalker. Are we sure at clear sight didn't have dragonauts after I was gone? Because you do an uncanny impression of my true love's disapproving face. only trying to make sure you don't overuse your power and go crazy and hurt someone, Moon said. Moon, Darkstalker said approachfully. Approachfully? Reproachfully. I can see the future, remember? I know how to stop myself from doing that. Do you want me to show you where our paths are going? He held out one of his talons to her. I can take you along the whole timeline for the next 100 years, if you like. His tail nudged her mischievously. Want to see which one of them you should choose? I can show you what the future looks like with both options. Although, frankly, I think neither of them are good enough for you. No, thank you, Moon said quickly, covering her ears. I don't want to hear it. I have no idea who you're talking about. I mean, what you're talking about? Stop thinking about them. Ignoring you. Hey, what about me? Anemone interjected. I want to see the future. Will you show me what's going to happen to me? Tsunami looked from his sister to Darkstalker, her expression wavering between concern and curiosity. A vision could show us that Anemone turns out alright, Turtle thought. We wouldn't have to worry about her soul anymore if we saw a peaceful future ahead for her. Anything you want, Darkstalker said, expanding his wings to their full width. You both have so many possible, amazing futures. And now that I'm here, if you trust me, we can make sure you get exactly the right future for you. Anemone's eyes were shining like the Skyfire comet. Sorry. Even Turtle couldn't help thinking, it would be nice to know my future, to have someone who could tell me the right steps to follow to make sure my life turns out alright, which spells are safe to cast, how to protect myself and my soul. What I'm here for. Darkstalker raised one of his talons and Turtle nearly ducked behind the gong again, out of sight. But he managed to stay put, sinking into a crouch, and so he was watching as Darkstalker lifted a claw to gently touch the earrings in his ear, pale against the black scales. An earring? Had that been there before? Turtle tried to think back, to remember what Darkstalker had looked like when he rose from the earth. He thought he remembered no jewelry. And didn't Darkstalker just say that nothing had survived the 2,000 years underground with him? But now he was wearing an earring, a plain white half loop stabbed through his earlobe. Turtle squinted at it. It looked as though it was made of bone. Like a bone one might get from one's prey after hunting. Could Darkstalker have made that bone earring and enchanted it today while Turtle was flying to Jade Mountain to warn the school? And more important, if it was Animus touched, what was that spell? What was the spell? A short while later, Tsunami and Moon went off to separate parts of the school. Turtle crouched in the shadows, watching them leave. He felt the stalagmites. He felt like stalagmites were growing through his talons, pinning him to the floor. He didn't want to be left alone here, the only one keeping an eye on Darkstalker. Who would ever think that was a good idea? He couldn't be trusted to do anything right. Maybe I need to enchant someone else to be hidden with me. Someone who would be a better observer, a better spy, a real hero. He thought about that while Anemone brought Darkstalker several pieces of treasure from her travel chest. Turtle remembered that chest because he'd had to help carry it from the Kingdom of Sea. And it was ridiculously heavy. Now, seeing the ropes of pearl, bulky silver neckbands, and sapphire-laden tiaras she'd laid out on the cave floor, Turtle can understand why. Although he still wasn't entirely clear on why she needed any of this for history lessons and math classes. Together, Darkstalker and Anemone picked through the jewels, discussing the merits of each. It was difficult to find anything that fit Darkstalker's enormous size, but they eventually settled on a piece that was supposed to be a metal breastplate for Anemone, fitting around her entire chest to protect her from attacks. It clicked neatly around one of Darkstalker's wrists. Mother is always giving me ridiculous things like that, Anemone said. As if I need armor to protect me when I have magic like ours. She has no idea what it's like to be an animus, Darkstalker said sympathetically. He passed Anemone a necklace. Maybe this one for you? If you think you'd be happy wearing it all the time. Oh, sure, said Anemone, taking the heavy silver band in her talons. I mean, I never liked it before, but if you think it will work, then I like it too. It's up to you, said Darkstalker. It should be something you love. I love this, Anemone said empathetically. It's not What the fuck is that word? It's not empathetically. It's emphatically. Emphatically? What the fuck? I'm going to write it in chat. One sec, because that is weird. I have never seen that word before. I am going to look it up quickly because I do not know what that word is. Pronunciation. Emphatically.
Emphatically.
Emphatically. Emphatically. What the fuck is that? Okay, emphatically, meaning in a forceful way. Okay. 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 Emphatically. I love this, Anemone said emphatically. She snapped it around her neck like with a sound like eggs cracking. Turtle's stomach twisted as though it were full of rotten shrimps. Now, the enchantment. Now the enchantment, Darkstalker said. He touched his wristband with one claw, gazing thoughtfully up at the vine draped between the stalactites. In a slightly deeper voice, he intoned, I enchant this bracelet to protect my soul from the effects of animus magic forever. There was a pause. Is that it? Anemone asked. Seriously? It's that simple? Surely not, thought Turtle. It can't be. I don't know. Darkstalker twisted his wings back and held out his arm to study the bracelet. I guess we'll have to see if it works. He squinted. My visions of the future seem to indicate that it does. Yep. Still a pretty awesome dragon 50 years from now. Alright, said Anemone with a giggle. Well, 3 moons? I can do that! I could have done that months ago! Why hasn't every animus done something like that? They haven't always known to worry about these things, Darkstalker observed. Or perhaps they did have objects like this and we just don't know about them. Said Anemone touched her necklace with one claw, mirroring Darkstalker's movement. Wait, Darkstalker said. My soul is safe now. Let me use my magic to enchant yours, so you don't have to waste any more of your soul. No! Turtle thought. Don't let him! Anemone, don't trust him! Great idea! Anemone said happily. Should he stop this? Could he stop this? What can I do? I have to do something, don't I? Like what? I need more time to think. But Turtle couldn't think of anything he could do without Darkstalker noticing, and it was already too late. I enchant this necklace to protect Anemone's soul from the effects of animus magic forever, said Darkstalker, tapping the silver collar lightly with his claws. It sounded safe. It sounded exactly like the spell on Darkstalker's own talisman, but Turtle knew all too well that spells could be cast without speaking. Had Darkstalker added anything to the spell with his mind? Oh, Anemone, I'm sorry. This is so cool, said Anemone. Now we can do anything we want! That, said Darkstalker with a grin, is the whole idea. End of chapter 5. Well, we're halfway there. Oh! Hydration time! Ice cubes. I took a glance at my older sister's old room. She's moved recently. She still has a lot of stuff in there, and I really need her. I don't actually know what it's called in English. One sec. Room divider. Okay, it's this room divider thing with lots of shelves and stuff. It's still full of all her stuff. And I really need her to get that, because then I can start working on my new setup in her room. So you will have a much nicer face cam to look at. Room divider, I'm going to put a lot of figurines and stuff on, and it's going to be in the background of me. I'm going to use her old room, and then I'll have a lot more room, and I'll have both a lot more room for my setup and a lot more room in my own room, which is where I am right now. So yeah. Alright, we got 2 chapters left, and we're not even an hour into the stream. That's cool. How many pages? 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Okay, this is a long chapter. Chapter 6. Darkstalker spent the rest of the day in the main entrance cave, reading through scrolls and talking to any students who were brave enough to approach him. By the middle of the day, it began to feel quietly normal to have him there. He didn't do anything sinister. He didn't use any magic. He acted like a friendly visitor who just needed to use the library on his way through the mountains. Anemone sat beside him with her chin lifted, looking as royal as she did when she sat beside Mother at council meetings. Every once in a while, Darkstalker would pass her a scroll and ask her to read it out loud to him or to check it for references to Fathom, and she would do so, beaming. The school gradually returned to its usual activities. From his spot hidden behind the bronze gong, Turtle saw Mudwings pass through on the way to the art room. He saw Sandwings carrying musical instruments. He saw Rainwings with baskets heading out to pick berries. There was no sign of the Icewings. Turtle wondered if they were hiding somewhere. He also wondered why nobody came to make Anemone go to whichever class she was supposed to be in. Pike stalked through a few times, eyeing Darkstalker suspiciously, but didn't try talking to him. At one point around midday, Turtle watched Clay gather the Skywings to hear Peril's story of the duel between Queen Scarlet and Queen Ruby. Soon they came back through the cave, all of them with relieved expressions, knowing that Scarlet was dead and Ruby was safely their queen for certain now. One of them paused not far from Darkstalker and gazed enviously at the treasure Anemone had swept into a messy pile. He was the one with a badly scarred face from the gold winglet. He had a black leather pouch around his neck, like most of the students, but no other accessories. Nothing like Anemone's confections of sparkles from the sea. Turtle couldn't remember speaking to him. The Skywing always looked as if he was in a murderous mood. It's Flame! One of the fake Dragonettes of Destiny. Hello, Flame, Darkstalker said politely. He put a rock down on the scroll he'd been reading to hold his place. Stay out of my head, Flame snarled at him. With pleasure, said Darkstalker. I know you were poking around in my mind before. Flame lashed his tail and glared up at the Nightwing. I felt it. I hated it. Yes, Darkstalker said thoughtfully. Indeed, it's quite dark in there. What's that supposed to mean? Flame demanded. Like evil dark? Anemone asked curiously. Or there's nothing going on inside dark? Flame hissed at her and Darkstalker gently stepped between them. You know, I have a great idea, Flame, he said. I could fix your face. The Skywing Dragonet started back and touched his venom-slashed snout, scowling. Don't lie to me, he said. I already asked Anonymous to do that, and he said he wouldn't, or couldn't. Slithering toadstool worm. You mean Stone Mover? Darkstalker said with a surprised expression. I wonder why he said no. It wouldn't be that hard or take much out of him. Really? Flame looked even more furious. He moaned and griped and acted like it could kill him. He said he couldn't cure all the wounded dragons in Pyria, so why even start? Festering, rotted lungfish. Oh dear, said Darkstalker, shaking his head. Well, I'm sure he had his reasons, but I certainly could do it, if you want. Flame hesitated. Turtle could see his talons trembling slightly, although his face was fixed in a state of permanent rage. Finally, he said, Why would you do that for me? What do you want to return? Nothing at all. Darkstalker caught a deep indigo flower that was drifting down from one of the banners overhead and cupped it in his claws. I'm gonna turn the music down a bit. He took a step toward Flame, who held his ground. I'm currently trying to prove to certain dragons that I'm not the villain they think I am. I can be trusted. I'm here to help others, so why shouldn't you be one of the ones I help? No strings attached, Flame said. Ha! I don't buy it. I have a lot to make up for, Darkstalker said. What's that word? Oh, I'm atoning. I need everyone to see that. I don't need your pity, and I don't want to be... I'm gonna try that one again. I don't need your pity, and I don't want to be your experiment, Flame growled. It's a simple good deed, Flame. There's no need to be so suspicious. Darkstalker stopped in front of him, his head nearly brushing the fire goblets on the ceiling. Flame stared up at him as though he were frozen in place, paralyzed by something and not believing he could truly have it. Paralyzed by wanting something and not believing he could truly have it. I've seen in your mind how badly you need this. Just accept it. Darkstalker reached out and brushed the flower across Flame's face, tracing the scar from one end to the other. I enchant this flower to heal Flame the Skywing without pain, erasing his scars and returning his face to the way it was before the accident with the Sandwing. He lifted the flower away and Flame jerked back. Turtle watched, awestruck, as Flame's scales writhed and rippled over his snout like snakes suddenly rising up and shaking off their skins. Flame let out a yelp, clapped his talons over his eyes, and wrapped his wings around his head. In the ensuing silence, Darkstalker quietly plucked the petals off the flower and let them all drift down to the stone floor. Finally, Flame folded back his wings and lifted his face toward the light. Turtle stifled a gasp. He'd expected it to work, but it was shocking to see the smooth, unblemished ruby scales and the perfect shape of Flame's face. The Skywing Dragonette looked years younger and infinitely more innocent. Turtle wondered with a stab of shame whether he had judged Flame by his damaged looks, assuming he was a scarier dragonette than he truly was. Flame's claws touched his snout, brushing over the new scales with disbelieving care, as though they were made with the thinnest ice and might shatter at any moment. Wow! Anemone blurted. You look totally different! Darkstalker, that's amazing! Flame glanced up at Darkstalker, then turned and bolted away from the cave. Alright, don't bother saying thank you! Anemone called after him. Some dragons! She said to Darkstalker, shaking her head. You know, I offered to cure Starflight's blindness once, but Tsunami said no. My soul was too valuable, whatever. She touched the neckband. But now I can! Or you can. One of us can. Won't Starflight be excited? I'm not sure, Darkstalker said kindly. It's a generous idea, but in my visions, he's reluctant to accept a magic cure from us. Maybe if we give him a little time to get used to the idea. Reluctant? Why? Anemone demanded. We can fix everybody now. Darkstalker didn't respond. His eyes were on the tunnel across the cave, where a moment later Moon emerged, leading the other 3 Nightwing students. Well, this is exciting, said Darkstalker with a smile. I thought a better introduction might be in order, Moon said. She glanced at the other Nightwings anxiously. Alright, everyone, this is Darkstalker. He promises he's not as bad as all the story says he is. Darkstalker, this is Mighty Claws, Mind Reader, and Fearless. I know, Darkstalker said. I've been looking forward to meeting you all face to face. It seems like the Nightwing tribe has changed a lot since I was around. Fearless was the first to speak. Turtle peeked out and saw her claws nervously picking at the rock below her. What was it like in your day? She asked. Amazing, said Darkstalker. We were without question the most powerful and sophisticated tribe. Our kingdom had a remarkable library, a huge training arena where we hosted all the tribes for tournaments, a museum with the most beautiful art in Imperia, and a new music festival every full moon. It was glorious. It was? Said Mindreader wistfully. I can't believe it's all gone, Darkstalker said, shaking his head. He touched the scroll beside him as though all his memories had vanished into it. Do you know where we've been living all these years? Mighty Claws asked. Turtle noticed that he was the only one with a note of hostility in his voice. I can see it in your memories, said Darkstalker. The island, the volcano. It looks terrible. It was terrible, Mighty Claws said accusingly. In a place of such darkness and danger, Darkstalker mused. The Nightwings who are left must have been very strong to survive. The dragonettes hesitated, glancing at one another. The sound of the rain pouring down outside filled in the silence. It sounded like claws running overhead, like the waterfalls in the summer palace, like hurricanes closing in as the water rises. I guess, Mighty Claws said thoughtfully. But we live in the rainforest now. That's much better, Mindreader interjected. Now we're not starving or sick anymore, and we can breathe. I'm sure, Darkstalker said. Although now you don't have a queen. We do, Moon said. We have Queen Glory. The other three nodded. Mindreader first, Turtle noticed, and the other two more slowly. Darkstalker's eyebrows twitched, but he didn't say anything for a moment. And I understand no one in the tribe has powers anymore, he observed. Were those really real? Fearless asked. Could Nightwings really do all those things once? Some of them could, he said, if they hatched at the right time. We had mind reading and prophecy classes for the gifted in my school. Oh wow, Mindreader breathed. Not just classes on pretending to read minds and how to make up believing prophecies? Darkstalker chuckled. No, it was all real. Oh, Mindreader's girl. Whoops. I wish I could really read minds, she said sadly. Do you have any jewelry on you? Darkstalker asked. This? Mindreader held out her arm to display a bracelet of green and silver glass beads strung along a twisted black wire. Turtle guessed she had made it here, in art class. Heads up, Moon, Darkstalker said, sliding the bracelet off Mindreader's arm. Exciting things are about to happen. Is this a good idea? Moon said anxiously. We can't leave this poor dragonette with a name that's a lie, can we? He asked. Darkstalker held the bracelet between his claws for a moment, with something glimmering in his dark eyes. Finally, he passed it back to Mindreader. Wish granted, he said, smiling again. What? Oh! She gasped as the bracelet touched her scales. She looked up at him, eyes wide with wonder. I can hear what everyone's thinking. I really can. Is this real 3 moons? Let's see, the Seaworm Princess is thinking I don't deserve a gift like this. Moon is worried about whether it will be too much for me, hearing about everything all at once. Mighty Claus and Fearless are both super jealous. Ha! This is amazing! She did a little jump into the air, fluttering her wings. Moon's right, Darkstalker said. It's a lot to handle at first, but Moon can help you if you feel overwhelmed. Moon can? Said Mighty Claus. Why? Darkstalker, Moon started. Have a little faith in your fellow Nightwings, Moon. Yikes. Darkstalker said, don't you think it's fair for them to know that you have mind reading and prophecy powers? What? Fearless cried. They all looked at Moon as though she had suddenly sprouted 6 extra heads. But I was going to tell them, Moon protested. I mean, eventually. Soon, when I figured out how. Well, now even for you telling your friends about Skyfire, Darkstalker said cheerfully. Besides, I promise nobody's going to hate you, the way you are so worried everyone would. Right, my friends? I don't hate her, Mindreader said with a touch of smugness, admiring her bracelet. How could you keep something like that a secret? Fearless demanded. That's not fair, Mighty Claus cried. She got to grow up in the rainforest, safe and fed and happy, and she gets all our lost powers. Ooh, he's stinking. Why couldn't it be me? Mindreader announced gleefully. Alright, genius, anyone could guess that, Fearless snapped at her. Does your mother know? She asked Moon. I'm assuming yes, since lying apparently runs in your family. How could I tell anyone if I knew you'd react this way? Moon confronted her. Exactly the way I expected. Hey now, Darkstalker said. He reached out with one massive talon and nudged Fearless back a few paces away from Moon. That's right. I forgot one little step. Sorry, Moon. He turned to Mighty Claus and tapped the miniature diamond stud embedded in the dragonette's earlobe. It was so small that for a long time Turtle had thought it was a tiny silver scale, but now he could see that it was an earring. Tell me, Mighty Claus, if you could have any power, what would you choose? Darkstalker said. Darkstalker, Moon said wearily, shouldn't you be thinking about your soul? All taken care of, Darkstalker said, waving one of his wings at her. Right, little princess? That's right! Anemone flared her wings and looked imperious. So you can quit acting like you know everything, Moon. Darkstalker and I are just fine. Moon gave her a puzzled sideways look. So, Mighty Claus, Darkstalker's eyes glittered at the young Nightwing. What do you think? Any power at all? Any power at all? I guess prophecy? He said. I mean, to be different from Mindreader. You're thinking too small. Darkstalker grinned with all his teeth. Don't limit yourself to traditional Nightwing powers. What if you could do anything? Any power you can imagine? Oh, Darkstalker, Moon said, starting to pace up and down the cave. I'm really not sure about this. Ooh, she's imagining all sorts of terrible things, Mindreader reported enthusiastically. Shouldn't we check with Sunny or Tsunami or Queen Glory at least? Moon asked. Do you think they'd really stop me from improving these dragons' lives? Darkstalker asked. Look how happy Mindreader is now. Yes, but trailed off. But you want all those power... But you want all the power for yourself. Is that it? Mighty Claws asked, lashing his tail. You don't like the idea of other dragons being special too? Powers like these can be hard to live with, Moon said fiercely. I'm just worried for you all. I'll take yours if you want to give them up, Mighty Claws suggested. Me too! Anemone said, ooh, then I'd be just like Darkstalker. Moon is sensible to worry, Darkstalker said soothingly, but luckily I am here to make sure everything turns out fine. Mighty Claws, have you decided? And me? Fearless interjected. Am I getting a power too? Do you have anything to enchant? Darkstalker asked, looking her up and down. I will! Fearless whirled and ran out of the cave. I have an idea, Mighty Claw said hesitantly, but it might be stupid. It's not, said Darkstalker. I can see what you're thinking. It's very creative. What? Anemone demanded. What is it? I don't get it, said Mindreader. He wants to draw things and then make them real? Like if I draw a sword, then I could touch it and it would become a real sword. That Mighty Claws said, glowing a little with excitement. And if I drew a pond, I could touch it and it would become a real pond. Or if I drew a banana, then I could touch it and have a real banana to eat. Oh, that's what he really wants, Mindreader giggled. An endless supply of food. Would have been pretty useful back on the volcano. Mighty Claws bristled. You wouldn't be making fun of me then. You'd be kissing my claws for a banana. We don't live on the volcano anymore, Mindreader pointed out. We live in basically the banana capital of the universe. We don't need a magic banana maker. It's not just for bananas, Mighty Claws cried. Well, I think it's extremely clever, Darkstalker said, and Mindreader subsided at once. Let me think for a moment about how exactly to word the spell. He tapped his chin pensively for a few long, silent seconds, and then he touched Mighty Claw's earring again, whispering under his breath. There we go, he said. Did it work? Mighty Claws asked. Run to the art cave and see. Darkstalker suggested. Bring me back a banana! Mindreader called after him as Mighty Claws started away. Darkstalker, why are you doing this? Moon asked. She stopped pacing and sat down with her tail around her talons. Turtle wished he were brave enough to stand next to her, taking strength from her strength. He wished she could tell him what to think about any of this. The more he watched Darkstalker, the more confused he felt. Because this was a good thing Darkstalker was doing, wasn't it? Giving other dragons powers? That's what you want to think, his conscience whispered. Our tribe needs help, Moon, Darkstalker said earnestly. They've fallen so far. I want to restore them to the powerful tribe I remember. And if I can do that by sharing my gift, why shouldn't I? Because, are you sure you won't turn evil? Moon asked. And those are huge decisions. Shouldn't you think about them a little more? I have been thinking about them, Darkstalker assured. I've been thinking about this non-stop since I woke up, and I've checked all the possible futures. This is the best path, believe me. A happy Nightwind tribe. Talons of power for everyone. Talons of power? Moon echoed, her eyes wide. Like the prophecy? The whole beware part? I'm just joking, said Darkstalker. Try not to worry so much. I'm back! Fearless ran into the room panting. I'm here! I have something! She thrust out her arm. A pair of silver and black wires had been hastily twisted into a rough bracelet, barely visible on her wrist. She smiled up at Darkstalker in a frighteningly worshipful way. Super strength, please, she said breathlessly. Darkstalker smiled back at her. Anything you wish. He touched her wrist and muttered something. When he finished, she turned her talon over, then spun around and slammed her tail into a stalagmite. It instantly crumbled into a cascade of tiny rocks. Fearless let out a shriek of delight. Did you see that? She cried. Mindreader toyed with her own bracelet, frowning. Well, she said, it's cool, I suppose. If you like that kind of thing, I mean, a bit obvious, but alright. Darkstalker suddenly sat up, lifting his head as though he could see monsters crawling out of the stalactites. He stared into space for a moment with faraway eyes. The other dragons all held their breath and watched in silence. Do you sense something? He said finally, looking down at Moon. She shook her head. What is it? A vision? More of a premonition, he said. His expression was troubled. As if this was an act, Turtle thought. Then Darkstalker... And if this was an act, Turtle thought, then Darkstalker was really good at it. Even Turtle felt his anxiety jump a few notches higher. Someone's in danger. Can you feel it? Moon closed her eyes. Mindreader saw her do it and immediately closed her eyes too, putting on a deeply pensive look. Yes, Mindreader said, nodding. The princess who smells like fish is thinking maybe she should give herself some cool powers like ours. Ha! Copycat. Oh, and there's Sunny's mind. She's coming this way with a squirrel for Darkstalker, wondering what he's found out about clear sight. Turtle felt a flash of worry that she'd hear his mind hiding nearby and give him away. But then he remembered the sky fire, which shielded him from all mind readers. He felt for his armband with a sigh of relief. Only 3 stones left. The other 3 holes marked the stones he'd given to Winter, Quipley, and Kinkaju. Would Moon want a stone for herself now that there were 2 other mind readers around? Maybe not. He wasn't sure she'd still be able to read others' minds if she was holding a Skyfire rock. It's Stone Mover! Moon cried suddenly, her eyes flying open. She leaped to her feet, wings spread wide, and turned towards Sunny as she entered the cave. Sunny, your father! Someone's trying to kill him! End of chapter 6. 1 chapter left of the day, but first, hydration! That's sweet life juice. Alright, 1 chapter left. Here comes the yawn. And boom. Chapter 7. There was a sudden rush of wings, like a million seagulls taking flight at once. Sunny, Darkstalker, and Moon dove out into the storm. Anemone pivoted in a circle as though startled that they'd left without her, then flew after them. Mindreader and Fearless exchanged a glance and finally followed as well. Turtle hurried out from behind the gong and stood in the cave entrance for a moment, dithering. It would be hard to sneak along behind them, but then he wanted to know what was happening. On the other Talon, it was raining quite a lot. But then again, Quipley had asked him to keep an eye on Darkstalker, so that was really what he had to do, wasn't it? Urgh, he growled softly. and he was out in the rain, instantly drenched, flying through flashes of lightning. He chased the dragons around the mountain to the cave Stone Mover had chosen to live in for the rest of his life, like a petrified hermit crab. Wait, I need to check how many pages actually. 10. Okay. Turtle had never visited the old Nightwing animus during his time at Jaded Mountain. He had a weird, irrational fear that the dragon would somehow recognize him as a fellow animus and reveal his secret. Although, if he searched deeper, he'd also have to admit that he was afraid of seeing what an animus could become if he used his magic too much. He heard Darkstalker roar, angry and earth-shaking, sending a slide of rocks clattering down the mountainside. Turtle wobbled down to the ledge outside the cave and slid himself into the very edge of the shadows inside. He sucked in a sharp breath as he suddenly realized how close he was to Darkstalker's scales. The enormous dragon filled the mouth of the cave, leaning in toward the others. His smooth ebony side rose and fell, only a thin slice of air away from Turtle's nose. If I touch him, will he notice me then? Or will he wonder why he can touch something that he cannot see? Oh, sorry. Turtle held himself tensely frozen, wings pinned to the wall behind him, like stingrays caught on a sea wing's sharp claws. From his position, he could see a sliver of the cave beyond. Stone Mover's grey fossilized arm, a tangle of Nightwing tails, a pool of blood slowly creeping across the stone floor. "Father!" Sunny was crying, had cried several times over, the word echoing around the cave. "Who did this?" Moon's voice, then a glimpse of her teardrop scales as she turned to Darkstalker. "You must know." "He went into the tunnels," Darkstalker said, pointing his wings, shifting warm, fire-smelling breath past Turtle's face. "Otherwise, I'd chase him down myself." "I'll do it!" Anemone yelped from her spot at Darkstalker's talons. She seized a loose prey bone on the floor. "Lead me to Stone Mover's killer." "Stone Mover's dead, fuck." "Anemone, no!" But Sunny was too late. Anemone's pale blue tail flashed a trail through the blood, and she was gone. "Why didn't you see this coming?" Moon asked Darkstalker. "I thought you could see everything, all the futures." "There are billions upon billions of futures," Darkstalker answered. "I'm sorry. Even I can't study all of them, especially when something small can set off a sharp turn." "Sunny, is he alive? It seems like I can still hear a glimmer of life in his mind." "Oh, so can I," Moon gasped. Yeah, me too!" Mind Reader declared quickly. Darkstalker squeezed forward another few steps, and as he ducked his head, Turtle could see a slash of dark red beads dripping from Stone Mover's neck. If Stone Mover was still alive, Turtle's healing rock could save him. This was a wound like Winter's, on the surface, where the enchantment Turtle had crafted so thoughtlessly could actually help. But to bring it out now would be suicidal. Not only would everyone discover that Turtle was an animus, but Darkstalker would want to know where the rock came from, who'd enchanted it, and how he didn't know about it. No, there was no way to help. Once again, Turtle had to sit on his claws and do nothing. He had to stay useless if he wanted to stay safe. "He's alive," Darkstalker said firmly. "I can save him." He reached up and snapped the stalactite off the roof with casual, terrifying strength. But you shouldn't, should you? Sunny asked. It's my family too. Darkstalker wrapped his front talons around the spear of rock. Enchant the stalactite to heal the wounds of any dragon it touches, he said in a deep voice. A little deeper than necessary, Turtle thought. A little theatrical, let's be honest. But it seemed to have the intended effect on the dragons watching. All their eyes followed Darkstalker's movements as he reached down and tapped Stonemover lightly on the chest. A hushed moment passed, and then Stonemover let out a sigh. The slash of red on his neck knitted together and vanished. He rolled his head back with a groan of pain, opened his eyes and saw Darkstalker. Hello, Darkstalker said. You're all right now. Who are you? Stonemover croaked in his dust-covered voice. An ancestor of yours, said Darkstalker, returned from the dead. So we have that in common. My name is Darkstalker. No! Whispered Stonemover. His eyes were widening. Don't be scared, Moon said quickly. He's not here to hurt us. He saved your life, Sunny added. She rested one of her small talons on Stonemover's petrified shoulder, a tiny island of gold among the black scales in the cave. Magic? Stonemover said, sounding half panicked. No, you can't. It's wrong. It's wrong. My claws, they're not mine. His eyes rolled wildly toward his talons, and Turtle saw the stone cracking along his arms, crumbling back to release the scales underneath. Oh, what do you mean? Sunny asked. What's wrong? Those are my claws, Stonemover shrieked. What are they doing? Stop them! Somebody stop them! Bewildered, Sunny pounced on one of his front talons. Darkstalker dropped the stalactite and gently pinned the other. Don't panic, he said. You had a shock. Someone tried to kill you, but you're safe now. Your petrified scales are healing, that's all. You're not used to being able to feel your limbs anymore. In a moment, all the rock will be gone and you'll be back to normal. They're not mine! Stonemover said again in a low, desperate voice. Tension radiated through his muscles, down his arms, to the claws that twitched and twitched, breaking free. No, I gave mine up. My talons are gone. These are monsters crawling up off the earth, and they will rend the sky and crush the wings of small dragons. And I can't let them. I won't let them be used again. His voice rose and rose to an agonized roar. The head-splitting sound pounded images of blood and death and slashing claws through Turtle's brain. Do you trust your talons? Do you trust them, do you? Stop him! Moon shouted to Darkstalker. He's trying to use his magic to hurt himself. Mindreader had her talons over her ears and was huddled in a ball on the cave floor. Darkstalker took Stonemover's head in his claws and forced the roaring dragon to meet his gaze. Calm down, he said in a voice that shook the mountain. Stonemover's voice dropped away. He stared back at Darkstalker. I'm healing you, Darkstalker said. That's all. Don't, Stonemover whispered. It's not safe. You don't have to punish yourself for being an animus. Darkstalker flicked his tail, frowning. You're allowed to be whole, to be happy. angry with Darkstalker, Turtle thought. Is that a bad sign? I don't want to spend my life in terror of my powers. I want to be happy too. Does that mean I'm in danger of turning out like Darkstalker? Would I rather end up like him or Stone Mover? He couldn't imagine willingly fossilizing himself, but he looked down at his clenched talons and wondered what he would do to stop him from hurting anyone. Did Stone Mover have flashes of blood and screaming in his head too before he cast his spell? Stone Mover rolled his eyes toward his tail when more rocks was crumbling away. I can't be free, he said. I don't know what I might do. Cage me again. Leave me in stone. It's the only way to be safe. He means it, Moon said to Darkstalker. She edged around the pool of blood to catch some of the falling pebbles from the old dragon's wings. He's terrified of his power, of his own claws, of any dark magic. His mind is shredding itself to pieces. Yeah. Yes, and it's giving me the worst headache, Mind Reader complained. All this fear, Darkstalker said with a sigh. I've seen it before. He brightened. Maybe I can fix it. The right spell could take away all his worry. No! Sunny and Stone Mover said at the same time, looking equally alarmed. No spell on my brain, Stone Mover said, his voice rising into a panic now. Why not? Darkstalker asked with genuine bewilderment. If it would make you happier, he turned to Moon. Isn't it alright to make other dragons happier if you can? Not if they don't want you to, she said gently. But they should want me to, he said. It makes no sense. He lifted his wings with a shrug that nearly whacked Turtle in the nose. Fine, alright. I'll leave him in his misery. Put me back the way I was, Stone Mover asked, leaning against the wall and closing his eyes. Dragons to wallow in their own tragedy, Darkstalker muttered. So pointless. He scooped up a talon full of rocks and crushed it in his claws, then blew the stone dust all over Stone Mover's wings, tail, and arms. A moment later, the cold grey of the cave began creeping over Stone Mover's scales again, embedding him into the walls and floor once more. There you go, Darkstalker said. May you always be as thoroughly unhappy as you want to be. Thank you, Stone Mover whispered, relief printed all over his face. Darkstalker wrinkled his snout at Moon, and she shook her head at him. Turtle wondered if they communicated telepathically. Did Moon really like Darkstalker? If she did that mean Turtle was wrong about him? Healing Flame, saving Stone Mover, protecting Anemone's soul, giving powers to the Nightwings. Darkstalker hadn't exactly spent his days spreading evil and doom. Am I worrying about nothing? Sunny wrapped her arms around her father's neck and hugged him. Blood from the healed wound smeared her scales, but she didn't seem to notice. A few minutes passed in silence, and then they all heard footsteps coming up through the tunnels. Sunny sat up and arranged her wings as though she was trying to match an image of a queen in her head. I found him! Anemone announced, coming into the cave. Yeah. I guess it would be him. Sorry, that was me. A dragon edged into the space behind her. The sharp edge of the broken prey bone pressed into the crevice below his jaw, enchanted to threaten him forward. It was flame, guilt and shame written all over his new perfect face. I guessed it was him. He's a really angry dragon, and he would definitely kill someone for lying to him. especially about that. It was Flame. Wait, I already read that. Sonny stared down at him without comprehension for a long moment, not understanding who he was. Flame? Darkstalker said at last. Why would you do this? Especially when Darkstalker just sealed your face, said Anemone. I thought you'd be dancing and flying around. This is not exactly a normal... It's not exactly normal to celebrate by killing some random old dragon. She noticed Stowe move his eyes open and jump back. Yikes, and you didn't even do it right. You guys, this fossil's still alive. We know, Fearless said. Darkstalker saved him. Flame, why would you do something like this? Sonny asked. She lied to me, Flame said through clenched teeth. He could have healed me, but he chose not to. Oh wow, said Mindreader, squinting at Flame. Moon, are you hearing this too? This dragon seriously hates everyone. Stay out of my mind, Flame shouted at her. Mindreader jerked back with a yell. But you are healed, Sonny said to him wonderingly. So why would it matter who did it? Enough to kill someone for it? He lied to me, Flame growled, sinking closer to the floor. That's an interesting complaint coming from a dragon with his own secrets, said Darkstalker. He beckoned with one claw, and Flame's leather pouch ripped free and floated into Darkstalker's talons. Give that back! Flame roared. But when he tried to leap forward, an anemone stood in his way, glittering with self-righteousness. The bone pressed itself harder into his neck, conjuring a jeweled drop of blood, and Flame stopped with a gasp of pain. Wow, he's so angry! Mindreader reported. Ooh, he wants to horribly kill us all. Kill all of us. Darkstalker shook the pouch and caught two objects as they tumbled out. Flame's library card and a blue sapphire shaped like a long, elegant star. The third dream visitor! Sonny gasped. That's right, said Darkstalker, holding it up to catch the light. This is what I've suspected since I first heard Moon's prophecy. Flame is the darkness of dragons, and he's the stalker of dreams. End of chapter 7. Well then, I'm not exactly sure if that's true. I still think Darkstalker is the darkness of dragons, but I don't know. We'll see later. Probably in the next book, actually. We'll fully understand the prophecy. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure a new prophecy is for the third arc. I'm not sure. I don't remember. There was a book. That was the next book in the series. No, that was number 10. That was not... Well, obviously that was the next book in the series, but I was looking for... There we go. This one. Number 11. Just want to see if there is a new prophecy here. Yeah, there is a prophecy here as well. That's so cool, and there are new dragons as well. Just 3. That's so cool. I love how the continents are shaped like dragons. So cool. was it for today. We will be reading more tomorrow. I'm just putting these back. We'll be reading more tomorrow. Everything's falling down. My room's a mess. We'll be reading more tomorrow. 4 more chapters tomorrow. And then Wednesday, I will not be streaming. Yeah. I don't know if Thursday and Friday I kind of like I do whatever really, whatever I feel like really feel like, either reading, drawing, whatever, just chilling with you guys, maybe even playing. Like I might be playing Undertale 4 days in a row instead of just 2, you know, on weekends. But we'll see. I'm really glad I started streaming again. I'm so energized. It feels good. I really love streaming. Even though there are not really anyone watching me. Especially not when I read. Because, I mean, yeah, sure, it's boring. It's kind of boring just to listen to someone read. But I think it's fun to read. I enjoy it. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, remember to hydrate. Do not dehydrate. If you do, I will come after you. Remember to treat others the way you want them to treat you. You know, just be kind of all. It's really not that hard. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye! Bye 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 bye.